During his presidency, Dwight D. Eisenhower left behind a legacy that is to be remembered by all. He was a five-star general and the 34th President of the United States. This is his story.
On the 14th of October, 1890, Dwight D. Eisenhower was born in Denison, Texas, as the third of 7 sons his parents have had. David Jacob Eisenhower and Ida Elizabeth Stover Eisenhower, his parents and caregivers, had recently moved there from Abilene, Texas, to lead a happy life for their children.
When he was a year and a half old, they had moved back to Kansas City. When he was at the age of about 4, his brother Paul died of diphtheria at the age of 10 months. Despite the sorrow of this tragedy, he had still made several happy childhood memories he would cherish throughout his life.
After graduating from high school in the class of 1909, he joined his father as a fireman. In 1915, Eisenhower proudly graduated from West Point, one of the best United States military academies, and was also commissioned as second lieutenant. After his graduation, Eisenhower was stationed in Texas for work, which was where he had met and started dating 18-year-old Mame Geneva Dowd. The couple married just 9 months later on the 1st of July, 1916, the day he was also promoted to first lieutenant. In 1921, Eisenhower's son died at the age of 3 due to scarlet fever.
John Sheldon Dowd was born in the next year, 1922. 7 years later, in 1929, Eisenhower was appointed Chief Military Aide under General Douglas MacArthur. From 1935 to 1939, Eisenhower served under MacArthur as Assistant Military Advisor to the Philippines. After returning to the United States in 1940, he was then stationed in California and Washington for the next 2 years. He became Chief of Staff of the Third Army.
In 1942, he was promoted to Major General. Just months following, he became Commander-in-Chief of the Allied Forces and led Operation Torch. On D-Day, he commanded his troops in Normandy and, later in December, was promoted to a 5-star rank. After returning home due to the ending of the war, he was appointed U.S. Army Chief of Staff as well as became the president of the very well-known Columbia University. This is a really big deal because today's education is the future that we will live in tomorrow.
It is good to know that he cared for the children and young adults of America. He was soon encouraged by others to run for President of the United States, and eventually he did, and won the election of 1953 on January the 20th. Many say that during his presidency, he grew the most in leadership styles. In 1957, he did 2 of the most notable things in his presidency: the Eisenhower Doctrine and helped push the Civil Rights Act of 1957.
What started the doctrine was the Cold War. What it stated was that a country could request aid from America if they needed it. It allowed for the country to help the less fortunate. Here you can see what he was truly aiming for.
Before a cheering Congress, he lays down a blueprint for the course that America will steer during his administration, to the applause of the gallery.
Our policy, dedicated to making the free world secure, will envision all peaceful methods and devices, except breaking faith with our friends. We shall never acquiesce in the enslavement of any people in order to purchase fancied gain for ourselves. I shall ask the Congress at a later date to join in an appropriate resolution making clear that this government recognizes no kind of commitment contained in secret understandings of the past with foreign governments which permit this kind of enslavement.
This was before he proposed the act, but definitely foreshadowed towards it. The doctrine led the way towards better foreign policies for the United States in the years to come. It had resulted in many positive partnerships between the United States and the Third World countries.
He also pushed the Civil Rights of 1957. What it did was establish a civil rights section of the justice system. He proposed legislation to protect African American rights to vote, which created a doorway for other races to live freely. It also allowed equality for colored people at the time, but also, unfortunately, caused massive resistance in Virginia and Arkansas, along with many other states in the South.
Many white Southern politicians united to repeal the Brown v. Board of Education decision. Eisenhower sent federal troops to protect children while they were being integrated into public schools. This was possibly the largest piece of his legacy that he left behind for the people of the United States to remember today, because it put a step forward for equality within all races.
So all in all, during his presidency, Dwight D. Eisenhower grew as a leader and left behind a legacy to be remembered by all. He contributed to American society greatly because he had a good will, magnificent leadership styles, and a win-win situation mindset to improve American education.